Welcome to the deep dive. So, one of you sent us something pretty interesting.
Yeah. What's that? Ah, okay. The Apple Cider Vinegar Cleanse. I've seen things about this.
Exactly. And our listener basically wants the quick rundown. Is this 7-day ACV thing legit for getting some health benefits fast without wading through the whole book?
Gotcha. So cut to the chase.
Yeah, that's our mission today. Unpack the main ideas, see what jumps out.
Right. So the book's core idea is this week-long thing using apple cider vinegar ACV and, a very specific diet.
For weight loss and general health, supposedly.
That's the promise. Kicking off weight loss plus other health benefits.
Okay, let's dig in. The book starts with a pretty bold claim, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Losing up to 15 pounds in just 7 days.
15? Wow. Okay. That is attention-grabbing.
Right, significant.
And the book, it seems, pushes that it's not just about the weight number. It's also about changing how your body stores fat long-term.
Yeah, and kind of setting you up for a healthier life overall.
Okay. So bigger picture stuff, too.
And the method they propose is this mix of, what do they call it? Fasting with food.
Fasting with food. Interesting phrase.
Yeah, and drinking apple cider vinegar regularly, of course.
Right. So maybe before we get into the cleanse itself, it might be good to just clarify what apple cider vinegar is. We see it all over the place.
Good point. What's the deal with ACV?
Well, the book breaks it down. Starts with apples, obviously. They get crushed, then distilled,
Okay.
and then fermented. There are actually 2 fermentation steps. Bacteria come in, turn the sugars into alcohol, and then into vinegar.
Kind of like how wine goes to vinegar, that sort of process.
That's the basic idea, yeah. And during this process, it develops something called the mother.
The murky stuff you sometimes see at the bottom.
Exactly that. The book says the mother is actually a good thing. It's got, beneficial bacteria and enzymes.
So not just sediment.
No. Supposedly contributes to some of the health properties people talk about, antifungal, antiviral, that kind of thing.
So it's more than just sour liquid.
Well, the main active bit is acetic acid. That's what makes it vinegary, about 5–6%. But yeah, the mother is seen as adding extra potential benefits.
Interesting.
And the history is kind of wild, too. The book mentions it being used for ages, sore throats, treating wounds in wars.
Seriously? Wounds?
Apparently. Even mentions Japanese samurai drinking it for strength and people using it as a household cleaner, for its antibacterial properties.
Wow. Okay, so it's been around the block.
Definitely has a long history. So, okay, that's ACV basics. Now, the part our listener is really keen on, the weight loss claims. What's the science the book points to?
Yeah, what's the evidence here? Does it hold up?
Well, the book focuses on that acetic acid. It mentions a few studies, like one from Arizona State University suggesting vinegar before a meal might lessen the blood sugar spike afterwards.
Okay, blood sugar control. That often ties into weight management.
Exactly. But, important to remember, these are often short-term effect studies, not necessarily proving long-term weight loss on its own.
Right. Good caveat. What else?
There's mention of a Swedish study. It apparently found people felt fuller, more satisfied after having ACV with a meal.
Increased satiety. Makes sense. If you feel fuller, you might eat less.
Precisely. That could definitely contribute.
Okay.
Then there's a Japanese study the book brings up. It suggested regular ACV intake helped reduce body weight, BMI, and body fat. So maybe hinting at an effect on fat storage.
So potential longer-term changes, too.
Yeah.
Not just feeling full right after eating.
That's what it implies, yeah. And another study, this one in an American Diabetes Association journal, supposedly showed ACV with a high-carb meal might improve insulin sensitivity.
Insulin sensitivity.
Yeah.
We hear that a lot. Why is that important here?
Yeah.
Briefly.
Sure. It's basically how well your cells respond to insulin to grab glucose from your blood. Better sensitivity is generally good for metabolism, good for avoiding excess fat storage. The study suggested ACV might help with that.
Got it. That helps.
The book even points to a rat study.
Okay, animal study.
Yeah, finding acetic acid boosted an enzyme called AMPK. This enzyme is linked to, potentially, speeding up metabolism by reducing fat and sugar production in the liver.
So it could be working on multiple fronts. Blood sugar, fullness, fat storage, insulin, maybe even metabolism itself.
That's the picture the book paints. And finally, UK research suggesting acetic acid might curb appetite by keeping blood sugar more stable, which could cut down cravings.
Right. Less crashing means fewer snack attacks.
Potentially. But, and this is key, the book really emphasizes that ACV works best with the fasting with food method they lay out.
Okay, it's a package deal according to them. So how do they say you should actually use the ACV in this cleanse?
Good question. They recommend getting organic, raw, unfiltered ACV, the kind with the mother.
Like those specific brands they mentioned. Bragg, White House.
Yeah, they name those as examples. For dosage, if it's general weight loss, they say 1 or 2 tablespoons in water, either at bedtime or before meals. If you're specifically targeting belly fat or want lower morning blood sugar, they up it to 3 tablespoons total per day. Either 1 before each meal, or maybe 2 in the morning and 1 at night.
Specific instructions there.
Very. And crucial safety warnings, too. They really stress always dilute it.
Because it's strong acid. Right.
Extremely. Can burn your mouth, throat, damage tooth enamel, irritate your stomach if you take it straight. Big no-no.
Good to know.
They also say stop if you get stomach issues, rinse your mouth with plain water after drinking it.
Protect the teeth.
Exactly. And, importantly, if you're pregnant or nursing, check with your doctor first. Standard advice for any cleanse, really.
Absolutely. Okay, those precautions are clear. Now, this fasting with food concept, what's that actually about?
So the book explains the main goal is to switch your body's fuel. Get it off glucose from carbs and sugar and make it start burning stored fat instead.
Right, that's ketosis, isn't it?
Exactly, ketosis. Your body breaks down fat into ketones for energy.
Which doesn't happen much if you're constantly eating carbs and sugar.
Precisely. Your body just keeps using the easy glucose fuel. So this cleanse involves restricting calories for 6 days. But you do eat small amounts of specific foods.
Ah, so it's not a total water fast or anything like that?
No. The idea is you get some benefits of fasting, like triggering ketosis, but without the, extreme hunger that makes traditional fasts so hard.
That sounds
Yeah.
more manageable, maybe. What benefits do they claim for this specific method?
Well, fat loss is number 1, tied to that ketosis state. But they also mention autophagy.
Autophagy, that's the cell cleanup process, right? Been hearing more about that.
Yeah, the body clearing out damaged cells, it's linked to health and longevity potential. So that's a big one they highlight.
Okay, fat loss, autophagy, anything else?
They also suggest it could help lower blood pressure, cholesterol, stabilize blood sugar, even improve gut and skin health. And the main selling point seems to be getting fasting benefits without feeling starved the whole time.
Definitely appealing. Okay, so what does the actual 7-day structure look like? Walk us through the week.
Right. So 7 days total. First 6 days are the core fasting with food plus the ACV drinks.
6 days of the main plan.
Yep. Then day 7 is a specific transition day, easing back into normal eating.
Smart. Don't just shock the system.
Exactly. And the book frames it as a real challenge. Needs mental prep, maybe even, they say, spiritual prep.
Okay.
They suggest starting a week before the cleanse by doing some protein loading, like adding protein shakes, and buying your supplements ahead of time.
What supplements?
Electrolytes, omega-3s, and a B-complex vitamin. They think these help with comfort and success during the cleanse week.
So prep work involved. What about during the 6 days? How do you eat?
You can divide your daily food into 2 or 3 small meals or snacks, flexible that way.
Okay.
And they really push taking measurements and photos on day 1 to track progress beyond just the scale number. You might lose inches even if the pounds don't drop as dramatically or vice versa.
Good point.
Yeah.
Weight isn't the only measure. They estimate 5 to 15 pounds lost, though.
That's the range they give, yeah, for the 7 days.
Okay. And the food itself, during those 6 days, what kind of stuff?
They give a macronutrient target, roughly 50% healthy fats.
Like avocado, nuts, olive oil.
Yep. About 45% complex carbs from plants, vegetables mostly, and only around 5% plant-based protein. Plus, cutting down sugar gradually each day. And keep drinking the ACV, of course.
Very specific ratios. Do they give meal plan examples? Like, what would I actually eat?
Oh, yeah. They provide sample plans. Days 1 and 2 have 2 options. Plan A and B, around 1,200, 1,300 calories. Plan A has things like oatmeal, carrots, a spinach almond salad, nuts, V8 juice, the ACV detox drink. Plan B is more like eggs cooked in olive oil, avocado, a strawberry spinach salad, V8, nuts, the ACV drink again.
Okay. Seems like fairly simple whole foods. What about later in the week, days 3 to 6?
Right. When your body's supposedly adapting more, they add a Plan C option and the calories drop a bit more, like 800 to 980 calories per day.
Lower calories. What kind of foods then?
Similar stuff variations: eggs, berries, almond milk, avocado, V8, steamed broccoli, salads, nuts, oatmeal, even a big sweet potato shows up.
Okay, so calories reduced slightly. Now, that transition day, Day 7. How do you handle that? Can't just go back to pizza, I assume.
Definitely not. They warn against overeating suddenly. The idea is to gradually reintroduce foods over about 12 hours. Let your pancreas and liver adjust.
Makes sense.
They really highlight a specific fat burner soup for this day. Give the recipe to sweet potato, carrots, celery, beans, broth, tomatoes, spinach. Sounds pretty gentle and nutritious.
Yeah, sounds like a good way to ease back. What about drinks during the whole week, besides the ACV drink?
Lots of plain water is key. Decaf herbal teas are fine. You can have 1 cup of coffee or green tea a day, but only with a little non-dairy creamer and stevia.
And what's off limits?
No alcohol, no soda, not even diet, no fruit juice, no coconut water, no cow's milk. Pretty strict on drinks.
Got it. You mentioned that daily ACV detox drink a few times. What's in it? Why is it so important, according to the book?
They call it the most important drink of the cleanse. Claims it helps with bloating, indigestion, and targets belly fat specifically.
Okay, what's a recipe?
2 versions. The original, ACV, 2 tablespoons, dash of cayenne pepper, squeeze of lemon juice, optional stevia mixed in water.
Cayenne adds a kick.
Yep. And if you don't like that taste, there's a berry version. ACV, mashed mixed berries, lemon juice, stevia, water.
Options? Good. So beyond the strict plan, does the author, J.J. Smith, give any personal tips for getting through it?
Yeah, quite a few, actually. Big focus on preparation. Read the whole book first, do all the shopping, start the supplements a week early.
Be prepared.
Definitely. And don't obsess over the scale daily. Weight fluctuates, water, hormones, sodium,
Yeah, daily weigh-ins can be demoralizing.
Exactly. They even suggest a Tanita scale one that measures body fat percentage for better tracking.
Ah, body composition. Interesting.
They also touch on emotional eating, suggest therapy, mention another book by the author called Think Yourself Thin.
Addressing the psychological side.
Right. And emphasizes getting support from family, friends, even points to a Facebook group for people doing the cleanse.
Community support.
Yeah. And tells you to expect some discomfort initially, being tired, hungry, maybe irritable. Frames it as normal detox symptoms. Encourages positive self-talk, making health the priority.
So managing expectations and mindset, it sounds quite holistic. What about those detox symptoms more specifically? What might people feel?
They list things like sugar cravings, maybe feeling dizzy, a rash, brain fog, irritability.
The keto flu type stuff some people talk about.
Sounds similar, yeah. Stomach pain, cramping, muscle soreness, maybe trouble sleeping. But they say it's temporary and a sign you're entering ketosis.
Okay, so potentially rough, but a sign it's working, according to the book. What happens after day 7? Is it just over?
No, they recommend transitioning into intermittent fasting to keep the momentum going.
Ah, IF. That's huge now.
Yeah. Defined as cycling between eating periods and fasting periods. They stress that when you eat can be as important as what you eat for weight management, though healthier food choices are still better, obviously.
Right. The goal is to lower insulin during the fast.
Exactly. Let insulin levels drop. They specifically recommend the 16.8 method.
16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating window.
That's the one. They give examples like eating noon to 8 p.m., skipping breakfast, stress consistency in your schedule.
Okay.
And they briefly mention the science behind IF hormone changes like lower insulin, higher human growth hormone, HGH, and then autophagy process again.
So linking it back to those potential benefits, what benefits do they claim for IF after the cleanse?
More permanent weight loss, maybe enhanced spiritual life through reflection during fasting, stimulating fat-burning hormones, reducing diabetes risk by improving insulin sensitivity.
Okay. And they tackle myths about IF too.
Yeah, common ones like, does it cause muscle loss? They say HGH helps prevent that. Do you need small, frequent meals? They argue against it. Will you just overeat in the window? Not necessarily. Is it starvation? They say no.
Addressing common concerns. So IFs is positioned as the sustainable follow-up strategy. Does the book offer any other, optional extras, weight loss hacks?
Yep, 5 optional things you could add. First, alkaline water stressing hydration, but advising gradual introduction and not drinking it with meals.
Okay.
Second, liver cleansing. Highlighting the liver's role in fat burning, suggesting natural supplements like milk thistle or dandelion root.
Supporting liver function.
Third, digestive cleansing, focused on clearing out the colon. They recommend magnesium oxygen supplements like Mag-O7 and explain how they work.
Interesting. What else?
Fourth is just continuing with coffee and green tea, which we're already allowed. And fifth is boosting fiber intake, aiming for 30 grams a day for fullness, blood sugar control, toxin removal, maybe using fiber supplements.
So a few extra tools for people who want to go further, and you mentioned recipes earlier. Are there recipes for after the cleanse too?
Yeah, the book includes 30 recipes using ACV for ongoing weight loss, breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks.
Can you give a couple examples? Just a taste.
Sure. For breakfast, things like flavorful fried eggs or overnight apples and oats. Lunch, dinner, maybe a chopped salad with tuna or spicy lemon chicken. Snacks like a spicy peanut dip or an apple crisp vinegar cooler.
Sounds like they try to keep using ACV in creative ways. What about common questions? Does it have an FAQ section?
It does. Addresses practical things like, can you use ACV pills instead of liquid?
Good question. Can you?
They say maybe if the dosage is equivalent around 1,000 milligram with a meal. Also questions on how often to do the 7-day cleanse, depends on weight health. Typical weight loss, that 5-15 pounds range again. Exercise during light activity recommended, not intense.
What if you're not hungry on the plan?
They say it's still important to eat the food provided. Also covers max frequency, once a month for the full cleanse. Other colon cleansing methods like saltwater flushes.
And testimonials?
Yep, include some positive feedback from people, weight loss, lost inches, more energy, mental clarity. You know, the typical success stories.
Right. Does the book cover other uses for ACV besides weight loss? Seems like people use it for everything.
Yeah, it touches on a lot. Other health stuff, liver detox, heartburn, constipation, cholesterol, blood sugar, yeast infections, even asthma, often with little recipe ideas.
Wow.
Beauty uses too. Acne, dry skin, dark spots, sunburn, dandruff, again with simple recipes.
And household stuff. I think I heard about that.
Yep. Stain remover, fruit veg wash, weed killer, drain unclogger. It really covers a wide range.
It really sounds like a Swiss Army knife of liquids, according to this book.
Yeah.
Okay, as it wraps up, any final message from the author?
Yeah, kind of a call to action, encouraging you, the reader, to be active in your life, prioritize your health. And it ends with her 10 commandments for looking young and feeling great.
Commandments? Like what?
Things like self-love, taking responsibility for health, getting enough sleep, detoxifying, embracing aging gracefully, committing long-term, living with love and laughter, broad wellness principles.
It's like a positive, empowering way to finish. Okay, wow. We've definitely covered a lot of ground on this 7-day Apple Cider Vinegar Cleanse book. Let's try to boil down the key takeaways.
Okay, so fundamentally, it's a 7-day plan. Combines drinking apple cider vinegar with a specific calorie-restricted diet they call fasting with food.
Right. Big claims about rapid weight loss, changing fat storage, blood sugar benefits.
And it does point to some scientific studies, though we didn't critique those deeply here. It's structured. 6 days on the plan with specific meal examples, then 1 transition day.
And lots of emphasis on how to take ACV safely dilute it, plus other tips on supplements, mindset, managing potential side effects.
Which they call detox symptoms, and then recommends intermittent fasting, the 16.8 method, as the way to continue afterwards, plus those optional hacks and recipes.
So it's quite a detailed system. This deep dive should give you, our listener, a solid handle on what the book proposes.
Yeah, a shortcut to the core ideas. Which leads to a good question for you to ponder.
What's that?
Thinking about everything we've just discussed, potential benefits the book claims, the very structured plan, the ACV focus, what part of this whole cleanse idea stands out most to you, or maybe raises the biggest questions for you personally?
Definitely food for thought. And of course, if you want all the nitty-gritty details, the exact meal plans, the full recipes, all that stuff, you can always check out the source material itself.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.